It's box seat time and welcome in, of course, in association with Woodlands, Standing Sweet Lou. We're off the back of a Rangiora Classic and we have Matt Cross in the house. That means Michael Guerin's away. Evening to you. Good opportunity for you to have your say, Matthew.
Yeah, evening to you. And yes, MG is on holiday once again, fresh off the back of what was a massive weekend of racing all around the world. Harness racing fans getting to witness Winx in her last ever racetrack appearance. And obviously we've got some good horses to look forward to over the next couple of months. Big stage between Addington and Alexandra Park. We've got some really good racing to come between now and the Harness Jewels, and a bit to talk about tonight.
We certainly have. So what's ahead on the show for you? We'll go back to the Classic at Rangiora on Sunday. It was a very good field, probably the deepest they've had in the previous 15 runnings of that event. Did you bring the beers? Upset them. So are there any beers after that? We'll find out because he goes to Addington this week again. We've got a couple of heats for the 2-year-old fillies. We've got Barry Purdon with a Quinella last Friday night as well. We catch up with Peter Jensen, the CEO of Harness Racing New Zealand, talk to him about the first couple of months in the job and various things associated with this wonderful sport. We'll talk to a bloke who's heading to Sweden. He's got a gold cap, and it's not Ricky May, and the week ahead for you in terms of your Easter weekend. But let's go back to Rangiora for the Classic at Group 3 level. The Fixer, the Cup winner in front. Couple coming wide had a part to play, especially the one widest out. Here's Mark Mack with his call.
AG's White Sox wider again. The Fixer leads Ashley Locas. AG's White Sox with a run. The Fixer half a length. AG's White Sox. The Fixer a neck. AG's White Sox post comes up. AG's, I reckon. AG's White Sox has nailed the Fixer right at the line. Chase Auckland third, then Hale Christian and Ashley Locas. Let's spend a night together. And the last two Outer Orlando and also Forgotten Highway.
Well, I think for the horse there, Greg, he thoroughly deserved that.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's been in the bridesmaids for so long now, and yeah, it was a shame we didn't. Wasn't a week earlier, really. It was a bigger paycheck, but no, he went super, and it's a great note to go out on.
Yep. Tell me what you were thinking during the run, because there was a bit of a shuffling of positions when Old Orlando came around. It probably aided your chances. Is that the way you saw it?
Oh, definitely. I thought that. Ricky sort of thought that maybe he might have been better if there hadn't have been that into the race. He reckons he still would have won, but I mean, it looked on the outside watching the race. It was great that Johnny did put the speed into the race, you know, when they're probably in a position they could have backed off again.
Greg, he goes to the paddock now in the right sort of space, in winning form. He'll come back, and there's no reason to think that he won't be even better next season.
Well, he should. He's a half brother to Paratara, and he proved that he just got better and better as he got older, and we think this horse will do the same. I mean, obviously time will tell, but you know, to his defence, you know, when he hurt himself before the cup meeting last time, he did well to recover and get back on track. So yeah, no, next season should be a good season for him, I think.
This season's been very good for you and Nina. You just got past 50 wins again, so yeah, you must be pleased with that.
Oh yeah, definitely. We try to get the 50. If we can get the 50, we can slow up a little bit and try and get another 50 next year. You know, it's the name of the game, really. Sometimes when you win too many in one season, we've won 80 in a season, and you know, the next season's a bit light, you know, so it's good to plan it. If we can try and, you know, work it that we get around the 50 each year, we're going okay.
Of course, he went out in the Methven Cup and his prelim had to be scratched. Cup Carnival didn't work out for him. The only win he's had in the 12 months since the Taylor Mile last year was that Green Mile. He'd been placed in 10 of 12, though, to be fair. Makes
the Henry Hubert form look really good as well, especially if you've got a viewpoint toward the 4-year-old races, of course, with the superstars in the Northern Southland Cup. Natalie Rasmussen had set them up in front. Say from the 1,000, you think, well, she's going to pop home and better than 27 here. So if she had done that, AG's White Sox wouldn't have won. So simple. The fact that Ultra Orlando came around and put a bit of pressure on did aid AG's White Sox. I thought he had his chance, the Fixer, to maybe kick a little bit more. He was travelling well, turning for home. Chase Auckland pulled way too hard. He looked very ignorant in the prelim. Mark Purdon had to pull him up to a standstill. And he did get keen through the middle stages, but credit to him, he didn't really lose any ground off them. And I think Hale Christian's just a better horse when they run a genuine tempo like he showed in Australia. So it's circumstantial, I think, some of these races, which does make it a little bit tricky in terms of assessing the form, how hard they go, what sort of halves they run. But I think at a genuine speed, we'll see the best of the likes of Hale Christian and the Fixer.
His 2 most recent runs, enormous in the Easter Cup. He probably should have won that. Turn It Up just had arguably a better run, but he stormed home. He actually deserved to win that race on Sunday. You're right about Hale Christian. I actually spoke to Paul Court about that, and initially he was disappointed that he ended up 3 back on the fence, but he actually lost ground off the back of Chase Auckland. So he'll head north along with Chase Auckland. Turn It Up's going there and Spankum's going there. Ashley Locas is not. He's going to stay here in Canterbury and be set for the Harness Jewels. I said to Natalie, what was the mindset around that? She said, well, we're sending 4 horses for effectively 2 races, so he can go to Addington on Saturday afternoon, get a bit more confidence back, and I'm sure with a front row draw he'll be competitive as he was in Australia. Yeah,
who are you thinking? Ashley Locas, Chase Auckland, is there a lot between those two?
Oh, I think Chase Auckland has the class factor over
Does he have the attitude though?
Well, he showed on Sunday that there's still a bit of ignorance there, but that might be the Mark III side of him coming out.
He could be better over the shorter trip v, say, a Messenger. You see him off the gate here, he was so good, but he's just got to learn to come back after 100 metres. Hale Christian's got enough gate speed that he could be competitive in one of these better 4-year-old races, maybe even the Jewels if he drew a barrier, but as I say, it's circumstantial, so it's hard to stack up the form of these horses going forward.
Yeah, well, he got across them very comfortably in the end, Chase Auckland, and there's the Fixer out wide. He pressed forward, got the lead, and Ricky May, he was delighted to get this win because the horse thoroughly deserved it, and Ricky, as we said there on screen, his 5th win in just 6 years, and he just continues his remarkable record in these big races. Let's hear from Natalie Rasmussen about the All-Stars team. Well, on his performance, he probably deserved to win that, but that wraps up a very, very good season.
Yeah, that's right. Look, the horse that won it was just better on the day. You know, his runs have been super. He deserved to win. My guy had every chance, so just the better horse on the day beat him.
Right. He deserves to have a good break now, and then he gets a chance to defend his New Zealand Cup title, which he will thoroughly deserve.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, he go for a good break now. Sort of he's had a bit of issues with his feet over the season, so let them all go and settle down. And yeah, he's done us proud for the season, so good earned break and bring on next season for him.
Hey, Natalie, just on the other 2 runners, Chase Auckland went very well. He'll derive plenty out of that as well. His first run since the Miracle Mile. Both he and Ashley Locas, they'll be heading north.
They both will, yeah. As long as they both pull up good and come through good, which they should. Yeah, I thought Chase Auckland was very good. You know, Mark said he pulled hard. He got touch in the wheel, so that's never good over distance. But yeah, he went good, and Locas will derive benefit as well. All
right, and the other 2 4-year-olds being Turn It Up, of course, and Spankum, they'll be there as well, so it should be a decent old attack.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, just a shame that it clashes that last night, the 3rd, with the 2-year-old sale series here. So it'll make it hard. We'll have to make a choice where we'll be.
All right, so they've obviously made a decision, as they often do, the All-Stars, to leave Ashley Locas here. Just on that clash, it's not ideal at all. So $175,000 2-year-old Open Sale Series final on the same night as the Rowe Cup and the Messenger. Now, I understand Auckland had the opportunity to run the Taylor Mile this week, being Saturday. Addington offered them that. They turned that down. So that's why there's a clash. And that's not ideal, not just for the All-Stars stable, but other drivers involved in those key races. And I just don't think it's ideal from anyone's point of view.
Never, even in the thoroughbred code, if you've got 2 premier meetings on the same day, it's just pointless.
We're not that big enough country to...
But you don't get the... If you've got a premier meeting like Alexandra Park, you want the best of the best there, you want the best of everybody, because when you're on the punt, there's less variables for you. So if you split over Addington, yeah, it's stupid, to be fair, and we need to do something about that. I'm not too sure. There may be an excuse as to why that is the case, but I look forward to seeing if in 12 months' time we're not in the same boat.
All right, going forward to the New Zealand Cup, news out of Australia, Ignatius is targeting, of course, the New Zealand Cup and the Inter-Dominion. Now, I think Addington will be a huge benefactor Cup time that the Inter-Dominion is the next month in Auckland, and here's the first example of that. Takes his place in the Rangiora Cup on Thursday night at Group 3 level. Hasn't had a start since Poster Boy took out the Chariots. He didn't get into that race, but he won the previous week, the Paleface Adios. He's a class horse, Ignatius.
Got a tricky draw to work with at Penrith on Thursday night. Takes on Sicario, who's done a brilliant job since heading over there for Brent Lilly after leaving the All-Stars base. Sicario, he's sort of one of those All-Stars horses where they were probably finding it hard to put him into races, but you see him go over there and he's just flying. So good luck. I look forward to seeing Ignatius back to the races. Good race, the Rangiora Cup. And you remember Smolder winning that I think he smashed the track record there at Penrith that night, so I'm sure that everybody in New Zealand will be tuned in to see how the superstar Australian goes.
And James Rattray, very good horseman, as we well know. That horse won the 2- and 3-year-old Breeders' Challenges. Okay, let's get into a couple of Dominion previous champions, of course, going to Rangiora on Sunday. But it wasn't one of them that took it out. Did You Bring the Beers has arrived in open company.
And Habibi Inter comes to the outside. 180 to go. Emirato's Son, half a length. Did You Bring the Beers has run to it from Valoria. Did You Bring the Beers is clear of Emirato's Son, Valoria and Habibi Inter. And Did You Bring the Beers is going to shout the beers. Did You Bring the Beers has beaten home.
He's very much improved trotter, isn't he? He's now won 7 from 28. Spoke to his trainer Costa Howe after it. He basically said, Matthew, if he improves as much in the last 12 months, in the next 12 months again, then he will be a force to be reckoned with in open company.
Really like this horse. You watch him mid-race, he looks like he's got so much character, always pricking the ears, doesn't really wear a lot of gear. Beautifully gated. Costa Howe knows how to train a really good trotter. I thought Emirato's Son was pretty good, kicking on. They've found the key with him pressing forward and trying to roll along, but Did You Bring the Beers having the cold shot? And Habibi Inter just behind them. He's quite a big grouse horse. Now, you were there on Sunday, and by the looks of it, what I saw on TV, he would derive a lot of improvement.
Yeah, and he'll go to Auckland along with his stablemate Ronald J, who I spoke to Paul Nairn about on Sunday, and he said, look, he had a high white cell count at his last start because he was disappointing. Probably had me on his back as well with tipping him on the show, by the way. Both of them will head north, along with the 2 trotters, the 3-year-olds, a lot of muscle in Gil Favour for the Derby and the Size Stakes. So Paul Nairn, a regular attender at the Rowe Cup Carnival, will be heading there. But as much as it was great to see Did You Bring the Beers and Emirato's Son go great, of course, Markula was in the race. He was the hot favourite. And here we have the footage over at the back straight where he's following Habibi Inter. And this is when he contacts the right sulky wheel, as you see, of Blair Orange's cart, and he rolls into a gallop, and he was out of play. Now, Clint Ford subsequently went into the steward's room and was charged with, I think it was careless driving, $300 fine he got. Speaking to the stewards, they said he's never been in the room before. This horse has won over 450,000. He's driven him outstandingly well. He made an error there. I spoke to Clint about that. He put his hand straight up. He said, I made the error. It was all my fault. He said he likened it to his rugby playing days, where you're about to catch the ball and fall over the line and score the try, and you drop it and knock it on. He said the horse was absolutely bolting. It was a matter of when am I going to pull out? He was waiting. He was going that well that he's climbed into the cart in front of him. He said he would have bolted him. They ran home in 30.5. He said he felt like he had a 27.5 quarter in him. That's how good he was going. That's no solace for the guys and girls that backed the horse into $1.70. But in saying that, he's now on the truck on Friday, coming up for the Anzac Cup and Rowe Cup. You cannot drop him. He looked magnificent. And I think we'll see the real one at Alexandra Park. Well, I hope so anyway.
I just hope Clint Ford comes forward with confidence into the next race, and that doesn't dent him, if anything, or the horse. Because
it didn't sound like. He said he worked him yesterday and said he worked beautifully.
Looking at it in terms of punter confidence, if you back the horse and you're on it, not a nice feeling. You'd be sitting there just going, wow, what just happened? But going forward, I hope that Clint Ford and the horse have got confidence. Therefore, they will have punter confidence. He made a mistake. He's put his hands up. We probably don't need to say much more than that.
Pretty much have to move on from there. But Rangiora was a really good day, including the 3-year-old stakes with Qatari Downs. Heisenberg had the barrier draw. Granchico had to sit outside him. He got very close here, Matthew, but this was good to see Heisenberg back to something like his best form. He just got beaten by Jesse Duke at Alexandra Park in December, and his form had tapered off a wee bit, but I think it's clear he's somewhere near that again.
One thing I'm really enjoying about John and Robert Dunn at the moment is they're just putting their horses in the perfect spots. They know how to best utilise these horses of theirs. Heisenberg, this was a great case. He had the galloping horse or the blinkers on there. Roll forward, the race was won at the start, and Granchico couldn't beat it. The last 856 and then 28.3. It wasn't too far out. It was about a second outside of the record on what was a sort of a sticky enough track. I think Granchico in the long run will be a better horse, and we'll see the best version of him over the longer trips.
Well, let's be fair.
A 4-year-old.
If you flipped those barriers around and
he wins by
runs
2 or 3,
around,
Granchico.
he would have won.
And I think he's getting better at the start too. You see those first couple of runs at Addington, just threw a couple of rough ones in going out of the gate, starting to build confidence now. I think he's a really nice horse, Grand Chico. And if you see Jesse Duke draw awkwardly in the Harness Jewels, then Grand Chico, he might have the red light on.
Particularly with the news that has come out this week around Ultimate Sniper and his withdrawal from the 3-year-old Emerald. He was about $1.40 favourite, might have even been shorter than that. Here he is winning the Derby, but you could see here, Matthew, he wasn't entirely comfortable. Now, initially you could have put it down to the track because it was very wet, but he's been beaten twice in his career. Both times he's rolled into a gallop. And he did that in the key lead up to this Derby win, and he did in the key lead up to the Northern Derby win. Unfortunately, Tim Williams was aboard both times, but we can now put that down to an issue with his knees. Spoke to Natalie Rasmussen about that. She said even just the way he walked, he wasn't quite comfortable. So he'll have 3 months out. He won't be seen before Christmas, very unlikely, and he could be sent to Australia in a bit of an assault on there in the new year. Now, that's good news from the point of view that the horse needs time out. Yep. He's mature mentally. He's just not quite caught up with his body-wise. So he's well and truly out and deserves to have a break. He's wrapped up the 3-year-old of the year. But no doubt the Harness Jewels 3-year-old Emerald is wide open now. And
Jesse Duke, I feel like Jesse Duke's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of dogfights, this horse, but he just keeps kicking. $1.65. It's not the sort of market you have me betting into at this point. There's not a lot of depth outside of the top 4 or 5. Southern Supremacy coming up, Robbins Playboy, Memphis, Tennessee, Mighty Flying Art and Stars Tonight likely to contest that.
It's there for the taking, this?
It is there for the taking, but how do you tip against Jesse Duke at this point? On spec, Grand Chico, I think, might be the better horse.
Yeah, OK, so the withdrawals included another masterpiece, the 2-year-old of the year last year, so the depth has sort of gone out there. Just on a few other withdrawals, Duke of Wellington's come out as well of the 4-year-old.
OK, he's a nice horse,
Yep,
Duke
he
of
definitely
Wellington.
won't be coming, and Pat's Delight has been in the paddock for a couple of months, so he was never going to be in it. He's out, and DeBarber's out of the 4-year-old mares because she's been overseas for, a few weeks. So,
she'll do a good job over there too.
Just on that, Matthew, if you're a trainer out there, and that is the situation, the horse is in the paddock, and clearly is not going to be going to the Harness Jewels, you do need to withdraw it because the markets are out now, and we applauded the TAB last week for putting those markets out. But to be fair to the punters, if you're not have any intention of starting your horse, it's your obligation to pull it out. So help Harness Racing New Zealand out, help the bookies out as well by pulling them out now rather than leaving them in and
just
not misleading people.
Just help the turnover out.
That's right.
That's
we need it.
We
need every bit of help with turnover we can possibly get. We had a couple of fillies heats with the Sires Stakes, of course. And Longview Lady made her way to Alexandra Park. Brent Mangos driving for Ken Barron, and she did this, Matthew, picked up her first win.
Yeah, she's out of a mare called Hannah J. She did a great job, Hannah J. She was quite a big, brutal mare herself, and I love the way that she's put her head down and got to the line, Longview Lady. So she's by Better's Delight out of Hannah J. Now, she's a Dream Away mare. Grand Chico's bred on the same cross and Dream About Me, so it works, and I think she's got a lot of upside. The fact that Ken Barron sent her north gives me a bit of confidence around her.
That's the Malloy breed, isn't it?
Yeah, she was I think she held a New Zealand record at one point. This horse is just something different, isn't she?
She's playing a different game.
She is playing a different game. She cruises up to them like mum. Mark Purdon could have put 3 or 4 lengths on them here, I think. She's all class at this point. The Harness Jewels are hers. She wears the colours. Amazing Dream I thought was good in second, pulled a little bit too hard I thought during the middle stages, so once she gets her ringcraft sorted, there's not too many other 2-year-old fillies that I could see shaking them up. The only other one would be Stylish Memphis, so she ran second down at Invercargill and it was pretty good. She's quite well related to Stylish Memphis, but you're looking for her to still improve 5 or 6, maybe even 7 lengths to catch up with Sweet On Me. The market tells the story here, I think.
Yeah, and Spellbound, of course, has done a terrific job as well, but Sweet On Me just looks that
Lula de Mons was a little bit unlucky on Friday night.
Yeah, she was. She got back on the inside and actually found the line really nicely. So that was the first runner in New Zealand for Mark Jones and Aaron Goadsby, which was a pretty cool moment for them. But I think she'll certainly have a part to play. She was the one that potentially could be the Aussie rep here, but if she goes like she did last week and continues to improve, then she'll qualify anyway. So both of those All-Stars runners, Amazing Dream and Sweet On Me, go north and take on the big 2-year-old filly features.
She's just, as you say, she's just playing a different game, Sweet On Me, and you could probably back her now to win with a fair bit of confidence.
And I think the only other All-Stars runner that's going north is Enhance Your Calm, and he's come through that Derby run absolutely fine.
I'm interested to see what happens with Enhance Your Calm. And
Yeah,
whether
I think it was
keeps
circumstantial.
Keeps taking that step up, and because there's going to be some horses that do catch up on him, because he was so natural and such an early runner even for a big horse. So that's going to be interesting.
Yep, for sure. Barry Purdon had a Quinella there on Friday night too. On the cards, he's just a terrific horse. He's always been in the best grade. He gets up the passing lane here. Mark Shard runs second, so that's the Quinella there for Barry. He's currently 5th in the 4-year-old section for the Harness Jewels. He'll obviously go into the Taylor Mile and Messenger, and I hope to see him at Addington again, where he finished 4th in the Derby last year. He's a good horse on the cards. He's a Grand Circuit horse, and I'm sure he'll get there. There's a bit of Jack's legend about him, I think. He's a really nice pacer, and he got a beautiful run there. And look at him pricking his ears. He's actually won pretty comfortably, hasn't he?
Just toyed with them. One thing I'd say about these mile nights at Alexandra Park, and I think we've noticed over the last couple of weeks, is you go back and have a look through the form. If you see horses running on, generally they're good form races, the mile races, for a couple of reasons. Because they run so hard up front, it's so hard to make ground. And B, they just back up from them so much better than, say, racing over a 2700 or even a harder run 2200. So I think that's worth taking into account. If you want to go back and have a look at a few of those races, I think you'll find a couple of winners.
There was a good clash between two of the best in the north trotting-wise. Lamond, whose record over the short course is remarkable. He's had 15 wins, Matthew, 14 of those at 2200 or less. At this point, I thought, Massive Metro's going to keep kicking here. Spoke to Todd Mitchell, he thought the same, but Lamond got him right on the post, and that bodes well towards the Anzac Cup, where, of course, he's been the winner of.
Just loving this next segment coming up for the trotters with the Anzac Cup and then the Rowe Cup. You just can't beat watching a good trot race. His last 100, very, very good, Lamont. Massive Metro, I know that he's already won a decent race this season, but I don't think we've seen the full package from him yet. Give him 6 months or even 12 months, then I think that he'll be able to turn the tables on Lamont. But he's been a grouse horse, Lamont. He's done a pretty good job, closely related to Buster Hanover and Wee Annie, so he's from a great family by Love You, who really revolutionised trotting for us.
Okay, so next week we've got the Anzac Cup and the Rowe Cup. And I don't want to put too much of a knock on Lamont, because although he's only won once at 2700, he won a great race in the Dominion. I don't think that he's not a good stayer. I just think he's more potent over the shorter course. A little bit like Stent. We won't get too far into that conversation because we've been bagged for that before.
Well, I see what you're trying to say is those horses over those longer trips are better suited with a sit.
Yeah.
They can't really do a whole heap of work. Lamont could definitely win over 3,200 metres in a Rowe Cup, but with the right sort of run.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'll be
Massive
liking
Metro,
him.
he could probably do a bit of work.
Well, he has, and he's taken out, of course, the National Trot. A couple of owners' functions coming up. Alexandra Park on the 26th and Cambridge on the 28th. Basically an hour before the first race and up to race number 2. If you're thinking about getting into ownership, you want to learn more, there'll be some trainers there talking about it. You can give Gayleen a call, 021 360 023, if you want to go along, and even if you don't, give her a call, just turn up there and you might find yourself getting into a share in a horse. Good idea, I reckon.
And also, don't forget as well the build-up to the Jewels. I mean, what are we, six and a half weeks away, I think we are now. So the Thursday night, we've got the dinner at Addington, or the lunch at Addington.
Dinner it is, yep.
Friday golf.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that golf day, if you're thinking about going to that, it's nearly full.
You got your green jacket, Tiger?
Yeah, good on Tiger. Wasn't it great to see Tiger back? Yeah, that'll upset a few. But
so Friday golf, rip into it Saturday.
Yeah, into it Saturday, and we'll have a big Jewels preview on the Wednesday night, hour and a half, and the big fish will be in the house to give us help with that. We're about to take a short break here on Your Box Seat. Still plenty to come, including the CEO, Peter Jensen from Harness Race New Zealand. Welcome back into your box seat. We're going to the Victoria Oaks this week. Bella Montana's already there. She goes round in heat number 1. There's a few goodies in this though. Kualoa takes her place in heat number 3 off the second row though. Soho Nalita's in that too, really talented for Mick Stanley. And smart as can be is one for Kylie Rasmussen's won 10 of 12 all at Albion Park. So there's a bit of depth there, but sure, she's very fast, Bella Montana.
She certainly is, and if she comes off a sit for Zachary Butcher, then I'm sure she'd be able to run over top of them. The only Kiwi trained filly to go around in the Victorian Oaks heats, which is interesting, I suppose. But 3-year-old fillies this year, it's been interesting. We had that sales race at Addington, what it was about a month ago, wasn't the strongest race we've seen. So yeah, there's a chance for the 3-year-old fillies category at least to develop some depth come harness.
There is, but there's one that stands out. She won the New South Wales Oaks, and her name is Princess Tiffany. More about her later on. Also hearing that Anna Donnelly's had a bit of an accident shifting to a new property, broken ankle for Anna. So our thoughts are with you. Hope you mend really well. Team's flying. So yeah, let's hope that you're not too far away from being back in the bike, so to speak. Right, as mentioned, we had an opportunity to catch up with the CEO of Harness Race New Zealand, Peter Jensen, to talk about many things, and in the first part, the majority of the discussion was around the Masara report. Peter, a couple of months into the job, how are you finding it?
Greg, I'm really enjoying it. It's, as you know, I'm a big harness racing person, so to be deeply as involved as I am has been fantastic. You know, we all know there's plenty of challenges in the industry, and that's certainly been confirmed in the couple of months that I've been involved. But look, I'm really pleased with the decision I've made to join the to Harness Racing New Zealand. Great organisation, great industry. Really pleased to be a part of it.
One of the things you've been confronted with initially has been the Masara report, which came out late July last year. What were your initial thoughts? And we'll have a bit of a chat about some of the things that may affect harness racing.
I think we all acknowledge that the report was thoroughbred focused. So, but there is, the reality is that I think we all acknowledge also that the industry needs to change. So we can't, any of us claim across the 3 Crows that we're travelling well enough that you wouldn't want to see some change happening. And so I applaud the Minister for wanting to see that lasting change happen, not nibbling around the edges. We can't continue to do that. So I think I don't agree necessarily with all elements of the report, but overall I agree with the themes of it. And I think that we'll look back at it one day and say that was a really important milestone for the industry.
How confident are you to tell the people within the sport that 18 months, 2 years down the track will be better off as a result of some of the implementation of the report?
Yeah, I feel really confident that that'll be the case. I think there's some initial things around funding that are really important to us. So things like point of consumption tax, the race field legislation, and the repeal of the betting levy. Those things are all positive. So the sooner we see that happen, the better. That can only be a positive for the industry because it creates more funds for all 3 codes. And then some of the other things that we talk about in terms of venues, improved governance, and then potentially, of course, the outsourcing of the TRB, which is probably the really big nut in there. All of those things have potentially got real positives for the industry.
We'll get to the outsourcing in a moment. In thoroughbred racing, a lot of talk about track closures, and indeed this week there's been an announcement that 3 of them, I think it was, will be closed. Some of the discussion around Banks Peninsula, for example, or Timaru, where they're dual-purpose venues. Does this mean that, let's say the Banks Peninsula Harness Racing Club remain at Banks Peninsula, does their rental go up? Are there additional costs for harness racing, or are we not that far down the track yet?
It's probably early days for us, I think. But what I would say is that I think generally that we probably do have too many venues, and we need to think seriously about it. So this is not a club issue. The clubs can continue to exist. It's a matter of where they race. And we have a number of clubs already, of course, who are essentially tenant clubs. They race independently. So Cheviot would be an example of that, where they come here to Addington to race. And I think that works very well for them. So I think there's a lot of work to do to understand where we should be racing. And a part of that, of course, is where are the horses? And we really need to understand where the horse population is, make sure we've got that right, and that we're not imposing cost on owners and other people in the industry that don't bring any return.
You mentioned outsourcing the TAB. Your personal view or the view of Harness Racing New Zealand, where does it sit?
I'll give you my personal view. So I think that we certainly need to have a look at it. And the Harness Racing New Zealand submission to the Masara report was that we needed to have a look, and actually that was the position of all 3 codes. I think there's only one way really to test it, and that's to go to the market and find out what that would be worth. There's a reality that if we do that, it's not coming back. So we have to be really clear about what the advantages are and are there disadvantages. So you have to go on with your eyes wide open. The process is that the Ministerial Advisory Committee will make a recommendation to the Minister on whether outsourcing should be evaluated. I can't make a comment in terms of what the decision will be, but I would support having a look. That happened previously on a soft market test, and there's enough in there to say that it's certainly worth having a look. We have a good relationship with the Racing Board, that some really good initiatives at the moment, but I think at the end of the day you still need to test what else is out there. You just look at the scale of some of these international operators and potentially what they can bring, the size of the balance sheet and what they're prepared to invest in our market, and let's understand what that looks like. But let's not do that in a naive way. Understand that they're in it to make money as well. So it's about what can they do, but also what returns can they generate for our industry. I think it's most likely that it would be wagering and broadcasting. I think it makes sense that the two go together, and some of the people that may be tendering for the business don't have broadcasting facilities now, so they'd want to pick that up. I think again that's something the Racing Board do extremely well, is the broadcast work they do around the country. So it's hard to imagine that you'd want to start from scratch. It just doesn't make sense with the investment there and the talent that's there, that I'm sure pretty much any of the operators would want to pick that up.
Thoroughbred Racing have been out there, if you like, in terms of their reaction to the Massara report and some of the things that they're starting to implement. Has it more been a take-it-in scenario for harness racing and wait till there's actually something in concrete rather than make any ad hoc sort of comments?
I don't think that's the case. We are pretty heavily involved. So underneath the Ministerial Advisory Committee is a project governance group of which we're a part, and we're also a part of a further project around outsourcing. So I think we're heavily involved. We are keeping our powder dry in terms of let's see what the outcomes are before we get too excited. But what I would say is that we're working closely with the Racing Board and with the other two codes. I think we are all interested in outcomes that are good across the industry, not just for one individual code.
Okay, let's move away from the Massara report and talk about some of the old bugbears in harness racing, if you like, and handicapping keeps on rearing its head. Have we got it right?
Look, I think whatever the system is never going to be 100% right, depending on your view at the time, depending on horses in your stable or horses that you own. My view of the handicapping or rating system is that the two key aims need to be that we have more opportunities for more horses and that we have as even betting fields as we possibly can produce. So, and I think the stats show that we are heading down the right track. Certainly it works better than the old class system did. There's always going to be anomalies, and that's the challenge with the system. So, and I had it myself last week where I had a one with horse racing against a horse that had won 10, and so there's a party that looks at that and says, does that sound fair? But then when I look at the form of that horse, I say, well, it's probably in the right race, and it didn't run a place.
And if it wasn't in that race and have those opportunities, it probably wouldn't be in work.
And I think that's the key, is that we do have to have those opportunities. So it is hard to shift mindsets because we've all grown up. I grew up with class racing. I understand what that looks like. And so when you see an anomaly that's working against you, you don't like it so much. When it works for you, perhaps you are more in favour. One of the issues that that causes some disquiet is discretion. So we are doing some work on that at the moment, just to say, is that still appropriate? And I think I would favour at least a trial to say, is there a way to perhaps remove discretion from the process? But to do that, we need to have some more certainty around what the matrix looks like.
I think what you're trying to say to me here is it's always evolving, and you've got to keep reviewing it, as it rolls out. Yeah,
I think we all have to, based on horse population, and also, of course, Australia are making a change to their system. So as of May 1st, all of their horses will have a rating, and then from July, they'll move to the rating system. So it'll be really interesting to see how that works. Theirs is much more predicated on money won, and so that'll be interesting for us to have a look at. I'm not saying that we would ever have a system that was the same, but it would make sense that if we were learning from each other. They've certainly learnt from us in terms of their system, And the reason they're doing it is to move away from the amount of short price favourites that they have. But equally, we should be open-minded and see what we can learn from them.
So that was the first part with Peter Jensen. What I like about him, there's no nonsense about him. He's only been in the job a couple of months, so he's not making any definitive statements, particularly around the Masara report. He wants to wait a little bit further until it's been clarified, particularly by the Minister's office. But you've got to like his style, and I think he's going to make a huge impact on the game.
He owns horses, that's the big thing for me. He's got money invested in the industry, so he can see a lot of things from a lot of different perspectives. No disrespect to people in the past who have been our leaders at all, but I think Pete's in a great spot, Mr. Jensen, Peter as we call him, in a great spot to be able to bring the industry and move them forward, especially with the Masara report and whatever comes out of it. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place situation I can see for him at the moment, waiting for something to work with, but I think once that does come out, we'll fly.
Yeah, we'll hear some more from him very shortly about a couple of topics that are a bit touchy. Standing starts is one of those, and not so much touchy about the jewels, but we're all looking forward to those. Before we go to a break and come back with more from Peter, I wanted to talk to you about Ultimate Machete, an announcement from Alabar and Neveliard that he'll be standing jointly for them, a little bit like what they did with Always Be Mickey, and he'll stand for 3,000 plus GST.
What a great story for the Walshes out of Westport, who have bred all of these horses out of this great mare. They're not far off $2 million in stakes between all of them. So you've got Major Reality, who's a Group 1 winner, over 400,000. Ultimate Machete, 850k Group 1 winner, and then Ultimate Sniper in most recent times. So for a little town of Westport, a great story, and I wish them all the best with Ultimate Machete, a horse that, gee, I'll never forget that day he won the size stakes at Addington, sat in the middle of the track. What did he go, 215, 217, somewhere around there? Just crazy. He's a great horse, Ultimate Machete, and I wish them all the best.
Yeah, broke a 54 mile ride, I'm pretty sure it was. So yeah, an outstanding win, and of course his win in the free-for-all, very memorable. Harness Jewels not too far away. We've been out and about doing some stories on, well, a few of the horses just bubbling under the radar. Here is one of them. Regan Todd has only had a couple of runners in the past at the Harness Jewels. He's hoping to get this girl, First Class Lady there, and maybe even Lone Star Lad. So look out for those stories over the next few weeks. But gee, there was some great footage out at the beach yesterday. Welcome back into your box seat. Part 2 with Peter Jensen. Let's get into that. We talked to him about various things. Standing starts was the first part though, and I think Peter's had enough of talking about it. Let's get on with it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it too much and haven't had enough action. So as it happens, I've got a meeting on Monday around this very topic, and it's my view that we need to show some leadership at HRNZ level, working with the industry, not telling people how it is, but I think we need to have a philosophy and say this is how standing starts are going to operate, and it's going to be consistent across the country. That doesn't guarantee an outcome, of course, so because we are dealing with horses, not with machines, but I do think there's some frustration in terms of consistency, so I'm going to be pushing very hard to see some change there, and that process starts on Monday.
Good to hear. The whip rule and its current implementation, if you like. Look, from my point of view, and I believe a lot of industry participants' point of view, the rule was brought into place to take away the aggressive nature of using the whip, for want of a better term.
Yep.
Have we achieved that by putting a number on it, and are we not just highlighting every race meeting when someone breaks that threshold?
Yeah, look, again, there's a lot of talk in the industry about that very subject. I think we've made really good strides down that track in terms of the whip, and what you see is actually there seems to be some differences between what we see in the North Island and the South, just based on the amount of fines that are issued, etc. So I think there's still some work to do in terms of what that whip regulation looks like, and there's also some work to do around education. So there is a change coming around that education process, particularly on race night, that if somebody has been disciplined, and we're talking particularly amongst the younger and the junior drivers, is that what we don't want to do is just keep having a system where you keep getting fined. That's not actually achieving anything for the industry. So I think it remains under review. If it's not working, then we need to be prepared to change it animal welfare, critical issue for the industry. We're all aware of that, so we have to get it right.
I should have covered this before when we were talking about starts. Obviously what happened at Redcliffe in Queensland has highlighted, well, not some anomalies, but some things that we have to take into consideration around the mobile gate, and then Addington on their premiere night not being able to use the mobile because it wasn't four-wheel drive for the first race. Are we now at a point where every mobile really should be four-wheel drive, and protocols around mobile gates and the like, in the health and safety world that we live in, they're absolutely paramount?
Absolutely. I think we all agree that they should be four-wheel drive. One of the issues is that I think we just have too many mobile gates around the country, so the amount of investment that sits in them doesn't really make sense when we should be sharing those mobiles across clubs or across regions. So I know that there's already some work underway in some regions to go down the four-wheel drive track, and I'd like to think over the next couple of years that all regions have four-wheel drive mobiles only.
Good to hear. Right, we moved to Addington Raceway for the Harness Jewels for the first time. Well, we've had a dozen of them so far. Are you excited about them being here?
Everything I've seen tells me that we're going to have a great event here. I think the Addington team are very focused on delivering a unique event for the Harness Jewels. Another way to put that would be to say it won't be a mini New Zealand Cup day. It'll have a life of its own. And what we're also seeing is a lot of interest from Australia. So probably unprecedented interest really. Darren's on the phone most nights, and a lot of those calls are coming to us. We're not necessarily making them. And they like the idea of being at Addington. I asked him the other day, actually, has there been any comment about the fact they're not miles? No, nobody said a thing from Australia. Like, they're keen to be here. They like the facilities that are on offer. Obviously, the stabling's pretty important at that time of the year in the winter, so I think it's going to be an outstanding day.
Are the Jewels sustainable? Are you confident that we have the right infrastructure in place to allow us to still have our effectively grand final day and the funding around that?
That's an ongoing challenge. Funding's always a challenge because the reality is there's only one pot of money. So if it's going into the Jewels, then it's not going elsewhere. But I think overall the industry supports it. I think we've got to have our hero days, and obviously Cup Days, fantastic day, and it always has been, but we don't have enough of them. So I'd be very reluctant to see us lose the Jewels. Creates massive interest for us, and it's one of the few times a year that we make mainstream media, people are interested, and it's a great industry day, and I'd be really reluctant to see us lose it. So I certainly have my full support to keep it going, but if the industry tell us they don't want it, then we'd certainly consider it, but I can't imagine that that'll be the case.
You mentioned funding there and the bulk funding model. The way we have it structured at the moment, again, is that evolving too?
It is. Bulk funding is in its infancy, and the reason that we've gone to bulk funding largely is because of the change with technology, where on-course turnover has changed dramatically. So people will tell me, and they'll compare an on-course turnover today to 2 or 3 years ago, but of course it doesn't have a lot of relevance because most people, or in fact a lot of people, are on course betting on their phone. And look, if I'm on course here at Addington later today, that's exactly how I would have a bet. I won't be walking up to a TAB operator. So bulk funding, I think, made a lot of sense. But there is still some work to do, and just in terms of refining that model, having some more transparency, I think, around what the model looks like. And so that'll be some work that we do, perhaps not so much ahead of the coming season, because it's coming on us quickly, but certainly the season after that.
The Harness Jewels and qualification for it, making the top 12, is based around stakes. There's a bit of a myth out there that, given where Auckland are stake-wise, that it would be easier, if you like, to qualify for the Jewels. I want to clarify that a wee bit. I've done some stats on where things sit at the moment in each of the 9 categories, and actually only 33 of the 108 as it sits at the moment are based in the North Island. So that almost dispels that theory right now.
Yeah, look, thanks for the stat, Greg. I wasn't aware of it, but it is something that I guess we have to be conscious of, and we will be. I'm not overly concerned, certainly for this season, but again, we just have to keep an eye on it, and if it did create an uneven playing field, then I guess we have to consider whether there needs to be any change, but there's no intention of any change right now.
Really appreciate your time today. Thanks for going over so many topics. I'm sure we could have sat here for another half hour and kept on talking about a sport you're so passionate about, and yeah, we look forward to a few things changing in the next 3 to 6 months at least, I would think.
Yeah, well, I think all of the industry needs to accept that we need to change, and that's the key thing. It's not about me or our board saying this is what needs to happen. We need to work with the industry because we need to change. I don't think anybody can really have a look and say, well, actually, things are tickety-boo and there's no need to. This is not 1970 and it's not 80 or 90. We're in 2020 next year, and we need to ensure that our sport is relevant and that we're making good decisions for our future.
So there's obviously a fair bit going on in the industry at the moment. We'll get some more definitive stuff out of Peter, and a big thank you to him for taking his time out last week. Just around the whip rule, where do you sort of sit with it? I think I've said enough in regards to, I believe it was brought in place to stop a horse being flogged, if you like, for want of a better term. But I think the problem is we've put a number on it and it's being broken all the time, so therefore we're highlighting it out there to the general public all of the time. I
think there's some sort of clarity. There's plenty of clarity around what the rule states you can and can't do. You break the rules at the moment, you get fined, simple as that. But you tap a horse 11 times, you strike a horse 11 times, both's going to be the same. Yep. I think that we need to draw the line between tapping and striking.
Yeah, but that's discretion, and that's where the problem lies.
That's what we need. We need discretion. Most of our drivers in New Zealand, you have a look at the way that our best drivers drive out their horses now compared to what happened 20 years ago. No disrespect, that's the way it was. It's in the past. It's so much more tame now. Horses just run for people. They're so much more natural, and they've just worked it all out how to do it. We just need to draw that line of clarity. Discretion comes into play, I think, with the whip rule. There's so many people getting frustrated. They just want to put it to an end. Standing starts are the same. Just want it gone, finished. Just black and white, in front. Everybody knows where they stand. Nobody's treating anybody like idiots. It's just simple. I think that that's what everyone wants.
I'll tell you, someone who's going to have to get used to not using a whip at all is Matthew Williamson. He's heading to the World Drivers, and of course in Sweden they don't carry whips there. And I caught up with him on Sunday to get a gauge on just how excited he was about heading halfway around the world. Matty, first time publicly we've had a chance to chat about you representing New Zealand at the World Drivers. It would have well and truly sunken in now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, very exciting and looking forward to it.
Tell us about when the call came and relaying this information, particularly to your mum and dad. I'm sure they were very, very proud, Phil and Bev.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was a bit of talk of it a wee while back, and then it sort of washed out, and then then they said that they were sending me, so no, I was very excited, and mum and dad the same, and just had a bit of a tough decision to make with Charlotte, of course, being pregnant, but she gave it the go ahead, so we're on my way. Yeah.
Excellent, that made things good at home then for sure, and if you get back in time it'll be even better. You have represented the country before as a junior a couple of times with your good mates Zach and Josh, and you're taking Josh with you, which is a pretty cool story in itself.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be great, and as you know, another keen trotting man, so we're going to be able to learn a lot, so it'll be great.
Yeah, let us know a little bit about Sweden trotting and what you know about it, because let's be fair, it's as good as anywhere in the world.
Yeah, well, that's about as much as I know. Touch wood, and no whips, of course, was another wee thing that, but that's all stuff that isn't going to really matter. But knowing the form and stuff is probably going to be the hard side of things. But trotting, which touch wood, should be up my alley, so hopefully it'll work out all right.
Yeah, I reckon your dad will be pretty keen to have a chat to you when you get back, given his background and the over 500 trotting winners he's trained. So when do you go?
Leave on the 21st from here, and then home on the 3rd. So.
And Charlotte's due on the 10th, so things could sort of time themselves pretty well here.
Yeah, well, people keep telling me that the first foal's late, so I'm sticking by that, and that's what I keep telling her, so hopefully it's going to be that way.
Matty, you're into your 11th season as a driver and getting close to 800 wins. It pretty much couldn't have gone better, could it?
Oh, no, super career so far, so no, couldn't ask for any more, and this is just another icing on the cake. This is going to be awesome, so no, looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations on getting the nod, and we wish you all the very best in the build-up to it, and make sure you have a great time over there. They're wonderful occasions, the World Drivers Champs, and I'm sure you'll do us proud.
Yeah, no, I'll be doing my best, so hopefully I can fly the flag good for New Zealand.
I'm sure he will. He's driven in over 7,000 races, so well experienced. He's getting close to $7 million in stakes as well, and he deserves his opportunity, and given the trotting nature of the Williamson family, it'll be an awesome experience. He's going with his good mate Josh Dickey, who again, the trotting side of things, it's quite a good synergy there, isn't it?
Oh, it'll be a great experience if you get to go. 8 out of his 11 seasons of driving, he's driven over 70 winners, so that across the board is a great record. Leighton Hest obviously kicked things off in his first season for him. 1,800 winners between Bev and Phil's 3 boys. It's not bad, is it?
It's good going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Jasmine at home holding the fort, though.
No doubt, no doubt. We're speaking about how many winners he's had. A guy who recently got his first win was Corbin Newman, and I got a chance to chat to him at Addington on Friday. Well, I know you thought it took a wee while coming, but that must have been a huge thrill.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, just happy to get it off my back. You know, a lot of pressure comes with it, but you know, finally happy to get it off my back. Yeah.
With Markham Air, of course the horse named after Matt Markham, the scribe. And tell me through, or talk me through the buzz of winning a race. You know, how does it feel?
It's pretty good. Like, you know, I was excited for a good few hours afterwards. You know, but yeah, I was just happy. Yeah.
Tell us about your background. I know your dad trained a few horses a wee way back. Is there any other family participation?
Not really. My uncle and my dad own horses. They own one with Benny at the moment. Or they owned horses and own horses at the moment. Yeah, so that's probably about it. Yeah.
And what about for you? You had an opportunity to get, I suppose, a day off school to go and do a bit of work opportunity, and Brendan Hill's name strung to the fore, and that's been it since then.
Yeah, so day off school each week sounded good. I didn't even know how to put a holder on when I started, but Benny soon taught me how to do that and sent me on my way. Yeah.
You didn't actually stick with him. You ended up with Paul and Graham Court, so there's been a few people who influenced you.
Yeah. When I finished at school, Benny didn't have enough horses to give me a job, so went for Paul and Graham, and Paul, Graham and Simon was there at the time. They've been good. They helped me a lot. They helped me get my trials licence and all that. Yeah, wouldn't be here without them, you know.
And a few other people have helped you, including the trainer of this horse, Mike Brown.
Yeah, Mike's been good. Yeah, Mike's given me a real go. Let me drive most of his team, so we've got to thank him for that. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on win number 1. I'm sure it'll be one of plenty, and we wish you well in the future.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, thank you.
It's always good to catch up with the juniors, especially after they win their first race. He's obviously delighted. Brendan Hill's giving him a few opportunities as well. Speaking of people having winners, Chelsea Faithful, only a couple in work, both won on Saturday, and Diamonds Day's not far away.
Diamonds Day not far away, and gee, we're set for a good day there, of course, with the Southern Supremacy, with the 3 odds. Looking forward to that on a Saturday. Just on note as well, Johnny Morrison, Cherie Tomlinson, that's starting to just get into a bit of a battle, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that eventuates. Cherie's driving with a lot of confidence, so is Johnny. They're two young people who have really taken the step up, and I look forward to seeing what they do over the next few weeks. Corbin Newman, good guy. Really good guy, and never an easy thing to do, to jump in front of a camera and have Greg O talking to you. I was that boy once, but yeah, no, good on you, Corbin, and all the best for the coming months. It's never an easy thing for juniors coming into the race, into this game, because
especially with no real background.
They might have 30 drives, drive 1 winner. So it's 1 in 30, they're getting that feeling of elation. Then they're going back to work and they're working hard, and they've got to stay dedicated and focused. It's not an easy thing to do. So hats off to anybody who tries it in the game. Young people are what we need, and he's a good example. Ben Hope and Mark Hurrell about 10 behind, so not completely out of it, but driving very well to boot. Right, we have Easter weekend ahead, so what have you got around the nation? Fulbury Park Thursday night, $5.26, $25,000 Fast Track Insurance Pick 6 there. 2 junior races there. Yep. That's a really good thing, 2 junior races.
Excellent. Sue Princess, I think, might be winning down there.
Okay.
Okay, 5.36 Cambridge on the same night, including a Garrard Sires Stakes heat. It's heat number 2 there, 6.41, that will go. Hara, it is the prelude to the Cup, 9 races there on Saturday, 11.52, and a rarity, 2 harness meetings on a Saturday afternoon, Addington Raceway. It's not Easter Saturday, but it's a decent program, and there's about $160,000 worth of stakes there, so it's still a very good day, including the Group 3 Majestic Sun 2-year-old trotting stakes, which we'll preview very, very shortly. And it's Hara Cup Day on Monday, 10 races there, 11.56 the start time, and Monacarara is also on Monday, 9 races there, 12.13 the start time to complete the grass track series and races around the country for the season.
We're back here Tuesday.
And Invercargill, Tuesday, 8 races there.
Anywhere Wednesday? Oh, Timaru.
Timaru Wednesday. Tell you what, if you like harness racing, is there any more? Gee, we've had a lot of meetings there, but yes, get involved in this great game. Woodland Stud runners for the week. Let's have a look at those for you. Lucky Nova goes round in race number 1 at Cambridge, Ellie May at Hara, and Smooth Deal has only been beaten once, of course, the Young Guns winner. He missed a run at Addington in the Welcome Stakes, but he should be winning that, I would think, on Saturday afternoon.
Takes on a couple of debutantes in there. Sam Smolinski's horse doesn't go too bad. Glenlady Bandit, I think its name is. Trialled up super. One of the best triallists I've seen in a 2-year-old trial early in the season, so looking forward to seeing how it shapes up. Some other good races. Sociable looks like it's in a winnable race for the mares. The 2-year-old trot, they've got 2 emergencies in there, so it should be a great night.
Let's get into that. Have a look at the Group 3. It is the Majestic Sun 2-year-old trotting stakes. Does go at 4.52. Unbeaten Muscle Mountain, and the horse that it beat last time, Ultimate Stride, who then came out and won really nicely at Rangiora. Tailored Elegance is pretty smart out of the All-Stars team too. But this is the last time these two clashed. Big performance by Ultimate Stride. He was slow away and worked around them, but he's very professional, the Hope Trained runner.
Take the first 2 out. There's pretty much a margin to the rest of them based on the times that they've run. Muscle Mountain, Ultimate Stride, they should fight it out between them. Interesting if Tailored Elegance can step up her manners. The ability is definitely there. And one horse that's on the ballot, Dreams in the Mist. If you get the chance to go back and have a look at Dreams in the Mist's workout at Rangiora a week ago, boy, oh boy, it trotted like a horse with a big future, but just the top 2 inches might not quite be there. Let's
have a look at start number 2 for Ultimate Stride. Be really interesting to see how the bookies line things up, because there was a massive bet on this guy this day, about a $15,000 play, but he was a high price yearling purchase. He looked outstanding at the trials, then we just saw his first race day run, then he produced this. So he has to come off the second row. It will not be easy for him, but yeah, he's pretty smart, and I think the battle between these two will be well worth tuning into. And Brad Williamson and the Williamson clan have a couple of
do you remember the
decent
days
races ahead for him.
We'd battle to get 8 horses in a field like that.
Yep.
Now we've got two
Well, one Magic Kenny, he's done a good job too.
Super.
So I can see him. He's by Majestic Sun as well. So it'd be apt if he was able to
good to see the Peaks going
out.
well too. Peaks are doing a great job across the board.
They definitely are.
Got some good mares, and look, I think he'll make it, Peak.
Princess Tiffany, she's back from the New South Wales Oaks. She takes on Wainui Creek, Kendra. Interesting to see those 3 draw up there. Chevron Supreme, we know, has ability. Dina Brown, Tony Hurley, his runner was first up at Addington last time, ran 6th. Here's the trial that you called, Matthew. Princess Tiffany did run 2nd, but she did it pretty comfortably.
So that's Fun at the Beach and Ashley Lopez to her inside. Have a look at Nat Rasmussen down the outside. Never really moves. Looked as though she was carrying a wee bit of condition. That would have stripped her up nicely. Really good trial. And look, for a horse that trialled like that, going to Addington with a positive barrier draw, does it not just scream get on?
Well, it does. So she should be taking care of business there. Then, of course, she's got the Neville R final, the Oaks and the Jewels, and, well, she's already really got the 3-year-old fillies category at her mercy, and, yeah, she should be.
Well, take her away, and the rest of them, it's kind of just, I don't want to say they're going to be picking up the scraps.
Well,
but
her win in the New
South
Wales Oaks was crazy good.
One of the best 3-year-old filly wins I've seen across the ditch.
Yep,
She was
simply the best. What about this field here? The Hydroflow's Easter Bunny handicap pace. Nice play on that from Bunny Rabbit there at Addington Raceway. So Ashley Lopez not going to the Taylor Mile Messenger. Ali Mack, she's getting set for the Jewels, of course, and she's the one to beat in the 4-year-old Diamond. You got Fun at the Beach. You got Eamon Maguire, who hasn't quite come back to his absolute best. You've got to remember this time last year, he was a dual Group 1 winner, being the Messenger and then into the Jewels. So interesting race that.
I think Elton Maestro, they might have a crack at trying to lead up in that. Just with the barrier draw that he's come up with, standing starts, I think that, you know, they're a bit more of his forte now rather than the mobile where he has to move forward. He gets his chance to get into his breathing rhythm a little bit better. So if Elton Maestro finds his way to the lead and there's not a lot of pressure, he could be a sneaky chance in that.
Yep, best bets of the week. That stupid competition's gone. I'm going.
Who won that?
Oh yeah, Summy. We should get him on the phone actually. Mark Summich, and perhaps get a tip from him.
Does the real brand go Mo's lawns?
He's away on holiday. He's got to come back. The lawns don't grow as fast as what they used to in the winter. All of that stuff. You're Sunny Beat. You've gone to Hara, and I've gone to Addington in the last Nandolo.
Sunny Beat's lining up. Take this. He's off 30 metres. racing maiden trotters. I think he's won about 10 races, Sonny Beat. Second up for Jay Abernathy on the grass. I know they're getting ready for the Monties. The Tomlinson Ford family, I think they might have just done the half share sort of thing and race him in the North Island. He'll be winning at Harwater if he trots. Sonny Beat, he'll be back in form, jump on. Yep. Love that Easter Carnival there. Yep,
very quick beginner he is. Matthew, thanks for filling the chair and your input to tonight.
Yeah, brilliant. Harness racing's in a good place, I think, in terms of where we're at with racing over the next couple of months. I'm looking forward to the features out of Addington, Alexandra Park, good things happening there, and then building towards the Harness Jewels, and then we kind of go back into that process again, don't we? Cup week, Christmas, back here, and
it's bloody happening. Yeah, it certainly does. That's been your box seat for the week. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you in 7 days' time. The brand will be back, and we will preview the Anzac Cup and, of course, the time-honoured Taylor Mile.